What's going on, guys? It's your boy Matei. Another day from Music Biz Daily, and today's we're gonna get into the legal aspects or the law of the music business. This particular story is about the Senate introducing the HITS Act companion bill to provide tax breaks for music creators. So let me break this down for you a little bit. Basically, what happened before is that if you, let's say, spend $20,000 on producing a song, that could have been studio production costs, paying other musicians, paying for the video costs, or things like that to produce the material as the song. You could write off those production costs, but you had to amortize it over the life of span of the song, which was generally 3 or 4 years. So let me tell you what that means. If you spend the $20,000 and you claim that was your production expenses for this particular song and you spend it in the year 2020, you could write off $5,000 in 2020, $5,000 in 2021, $5,000 in 2022, and then $5,000 in 2023 potentially, or maybe do it in 3 years. And actually, it's funny that I'm reading this now because I remember that back in 2014 when I incorporated my LLC from my music label, my accountant was like, all right, let me see, I gotta look this up because I don't know how we're gonna be able to write these expenses off. I don't know to what level I can write off your expenses of copywriting songs with the federal government and things like that. And I do remember that a lot of the studio equipment, including production costs, did have to be split up across a number of years to write it against our profits or revenue and things like that. And honestly, the first couple of years, majority of my expenses were pretty much losses. But at the same time, what I could tell you about business is that if you have an LLC in place and you write off losses for at least 3 years or more, and you have absolutely no revenue, no profits, the IRS starts looking at you like, what's going on here? Is that a real business, or is this a hobby that you're just writing expenses off on like an LLC that you created? Because trust me, that happens all the time. So anyways, with this tax bill, you'll be able to write up to $150,000 in production costs and expenses the very first year. You're not gonna have to amortize it over the period of the song, which they're saying is roughly 3 to 4 years. So that's gonna help a lot of musicians, especially independent musicians, to sort of get back in the studio and being able to, during the COVID situation, spend money on production costs and write it off the same year against any type of revenue that they may be getting back from, publishing checks or royalty checks, things like that, even if it's from songs like 6 years ago. Basically, every year is treated as a separate year. Whatever money you made this year, even if it's from a song from 10 years ago that you got a royalty check from, that's revenue for this year. So if you spend $150,000 in production expenses and you made $200,000 in royalty checks or publishing, whatever, then you can write the $150,000 of costs against the $200,000 in profits or revenue, which means you're only going to pay $50,000, or $50,000 is registered as positive revenue, and that's the only thing that you have to pay taxes on. Unless, of course, you have other expenses, not just production expenses, because you can have accounting expenses, all these other expenses that go, into running a business, obviously. Another thing that was interesting about this article is that when they, introduced this bill, they're saying that, it's a common sense thing. Funny enough, the movie industry already had this in place. In the movie industry, the production cost of a movie can be written off the very first year. I don't know if it's still the same limit, 150,000. And remember, this is for an individual, not necessarily a company or a production label or things like that. It may be more for a company, but it just shows you that the movie industry has a lot more lobbyists in the government space for passing laws that are more conducive to their industry. And it's a much bigger industry in terms of money than the music industry itself, because they can, get more things passed. They can get more things in their favor to run their businesses that obviously benefit them, are written towards, their business models and allow them to make more money if the movie industry and actors didn't already make enough money. But finally, it's here for musicians, and it's really going to benefit independent musicians the most. Clearly, labels have figured all this shit out. They've been writing money off the proper way, many times even the improper way, making up loopholes and things like that. But it's about time that it's passed. I just wanted to break it down to you because some of you, may be creating your LLC this year, which you should if you're, spending at least $30,000 in production costs and things like that. Definitely put an LLC in place, but talk to your accountant. I'm not an accountant. I have a very good accountant. He does taxes and stuff for all my companies, whether it's my software company, my label, my digital marketing agency. In the past, it was my energy efficiency company and my real estate company. So he knows a lot at this point, and even himself, with they're a national firm, he had to look up the details about how to write off song production costs, song, how to classify song royalties, and is that a revenue or is that a profit, whatever the case is. So some of this stuff is tricky, but the good news is that the Senate should be passing this HITS Act, and it's definitely going to benefit a lot of you independent musicians. So if you haven't, you should probably join my Indie Artist Accelerator, because we're actually going to be going over these type of concepts, how to create an LLC or a partnership, or how to do this. And I'm going to be bringing professionals into my accelerator, accountants, even lawyers, things like that, to really give you the real facts and details behind this. But I just want to give you the story because it's interesting, it's beneficial for independent musicians, and you guys better get on top of this and create an LLC if you already have it. Not this year, there's only 20 days left in the year, so just wait till next year to create it, but definitely do it in 2021 if you're going to be spending more than $30,000 in expenses. I'm going to leave you with that. See you guys in the next video. Peace.